Good afternoon. I am Brian Shaw, the bearded berserker. We have Caitlin and Mike here with us from the Best Friends Animal Society. We're going to be doing our panel today. Would want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourselves, Caitlin.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Caitlin. I am the digital fundraising program manager at Best Friends, and also the community manager for our live streaming program, which we call Life Saving Live Streaming. We've been running that program for about over a year now. It kind of launched after TwitchCon of last year, and we've had a lot of success since, just kind of in our own gaming. Tournaments and programs and live streaming as well. So we're really happy to be here today and excited to talk more about Best Friends and what we do as an organization.
Oh, that's wonderful. Mike, go ahead and give us a little background on you as well.
Well, my name's Michael Hand. I've been with Best Friends for almost 17 years. Actually, longtime gamer, starting way back with television. Dates me a little bit, but yeah, I love working for this organization. Been a really fun experience getting to mix my two greatest loves, animals and gaming, um, getting into the space. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about the charity. Tell us about the Best Friends Animal Society.
Yeah, well, Best Friends was basically started 35 years ago. And right now, we're on a mission to end the killing in America's shelters by 2025. So the clock is ticking, and we have a lot of work to do. In that work, we work with around 3,000 animal shelters and rescue organizations across the country. And we're kind of in a shared mission to end shelter killing. So we do that through a lot of different programs right now. And we've gotten very creative in the last year specifically that's allowed us to save more lives of dogs and cats in shelters. So that is our mission, and our vision is to hit it by 2025.
That's awesome. Do you have an estimation of like how many shelters you have across the country?
Yeah, so we work with around 3,000 shelters and rescue organizations, and we focus primarily on the top 100 shelters that are euthanizing the most animals in the country, and we focus on those primarily to kind of get to our goal. Kind of the benchmark of no kill, what we call is 90%. So 90% no kill within those shelters. And then from there, you can kind of zoom out to a community, to a city. Like I live in Austin, and Austin is a no kill city. And then out to the state. So Delaware is actually the only no kill state. And as a country, we'd have to reach 90% by 2025 to reach our goal.
Awesome. So that's like 45 states, right?
Yeah, we have a lot to do.
You're one down, so 44 left to go.
Yeah.
I'm 100% there with you. Uh, how do you guys find shelters and like what's like the contact process with those?
Yeah, so I could speak that a little bit. We have a network partner team, and that team basically works and organizes with all of those partners. We call them network partners, and basically you can sign up to become a network partner and get a lot of different benefits from that. It includes a lot of education programs, embed programs, which I can talk a little bit more about. It's really cool and something we've been doing a lot more recently, and also things like conferences and webinars, basically tools and skills and resources um, to allow these rescue organizations and shelters to reach our goal, our shared goal. So it's a great program, and it's definitely growing. We've seen immense growth in the last year, especially. So our network partners work together across the country. And another program that I also help run is Strut Your Mutt. So we actually allow them to fundraise for their own organizations through this program. And it's really fun because it's a national program. This year we went entirely virtual, but we raised up $1.5 million for those rescues. And there were about 300 participating. So some organizations raise their entire operating budget with this program. So there's things like that, benefits that really kind of incentivize them to join in the movement.
That's awesome. So how do you tie video games into pet adoption?
Take it?
Well, we're pretty much up for anything. So if anybody has any ideas that's watching, we're kind of all for it. We've been able to uh, actually we've been able to work with some pretty awesome partners. It's like for example, Veritas did a charity stream for us with playing Escape from Tarkov, and he raised like a whole bunch of money. Katie Peters plays has done stuff with us, and it's kind of been fun to figure out how a lot of that can work. I mean, you have you have the big fundraisers like Bo and those guys, and I mean, Italian like raising tons of like millions of dollars and stuff. But one of the things that we kind of figured out is that wow, that's amazing, would be amazing. Like it can't discount the smaller donations, and I think a lot of the like even smaller streamers that want to get involved and donate their time or to do charity streams for any charity, really it actually does make a difference, especially you know like shouldn't feel bad because you've only raised $500 or $50 or whatever, because if you're giving your time something that means something to you, think that it's valuable, and that's one of the things that we've kind of embraced. Um, just because I think that there's a lot of people in this space that want to do that, and especially now, it's hard. It's hard. You can't go to a shelter volunteer, or it's very hard to right now because of
Mm.
COVID. So definitely one way that you can give your time to a charity and do something meaningful, and I think it's really cool. Like this space, I think has made a huge impact in so many charities, or for so many charities. I think that there are so many untapped um so much untapped potential in this space to be able to help animals get adopted, or just have rescues run. Just $50 to a small rescue can mean that they can feed their animals that week or something. You know what I mean? So it really does make a big difference.
Yeah, so because like you kind of hit on it a little bit, but with COVID coming, you don't have these volunteers that come in. So how has COVID actually impacted this process for y'all and like the adoption process that you've seen in general?
So I'll start this one, Caitlin, I guess. So one of
Yeah.
the things that we figured out early on was, well, first of all, there was this holy crap, like what do we do? And that was, I think, across the board nationwide, like most shelters. Um, and one of the things that came out of this that was somewhat of a silver lining is that this big push towards community-based sheltering, which essentially is fostering. Like shelters were being emptied out into foster homes, and it's kind of turned into this thing that's gained so much momentum with fostering. We have been doing huge pushes fostering, um, because I mean, a lot of shelters are great, and it there's something about having these animals in a home that they learn how to be in a home. They learn so many more skills just from being in that space to prepare them for being adopted, and it's turned into this new community-based sheltering system that's kind of incredible. So it was definitely one of the silver linings, and I think let's take any silver lining we can get at this point, right? Like, but it was
Yeah.
definitely a silver lining for us, um, just in the fact that we were able to get so many animals, so many foster homes, and then move them on to adopted homes. Like it's been pretty incredible.
What's your
Absolutely. Yeah. To add to that just a little bit, I know that a lot of people are fostering because they're home a lot, and it's really a wonderful opportunity to take in an animal and into your family and into your home when we're already staying at home most of the time anyway. And the beautiful thing about that too is a lot of them have been foster. I know people call them foster fails, but we call them foster successes or foster wins because they're able to be adopted straight from that foster situation. And I know I couldn't like let an animal into my house and then let it leave. It would be too tragic for me.
Nope, no way.
So that's kind of a wonderful thing too, an outcome that you know we didn't expect either.
Yeah, like I think it's presented like it sounds like it's presented a much different opportunity because now people know that these shelters are struggling, so they're more apt to foster. And I honestly feel like most people are foster successes, right? Um, so have you
It's
seen an
oh,
increase in
sorry.
adoptions?
Absolutely. Yes. There's been, I think, an 80% increase in fostering. And then as a part of that, adoption has been up. So a lot of people are getting dogs and cats in this time just because, you know, I know I want to surround myself with animals to make me feel better about the state of the world. And it's a really great way to grow your family. So, yeah, adoption and foster have both been up this year.
One of the things that we're trying to also figure out is like future thinking, once everything gets back to normal,
Mhm.
how do we sustain this? How do we keep this model going? Like when things do open back up, or,
Mhm.
hopefully we can get back to some sort of normalcy and, what happens then? And I think like the success of foster programs across the board, I think will continue just because of how they have been working. I mean, we're working on ways to make sure that we can continue this model.
Mhm.
So have you guys been foster successes since COVID started?
Oh boy.
I have a dog selective dog. My heart dog, her name is Jolene, who I rescued from Austin Pets Alive. And I got her about 6 years ago. She's a tripod pit bull with the same color hair as me, so we kind of match. But she only likes people. So I actually haven't been able to foster yet, but I really want to kind of do that in the future when, push comes to
When
shove.
we
So
have that opportunity.
yeah, and we have not, because a close friend of ours is moving to Australia for work, and we're taking her two dogs while like for a quarantine period, while and then helping them get over to Australia. So we're unable to foster right now, but I did have a cat show up and he just kind of stayed. So kind of like, I don't know. I think he just off on us, but I have a so right now we have two dogs and two cats, pit bull or rat terrier, Forty, our cat that just showed up one day.
Well, I watched the TikTok earlier, and it said cats are we call them like pets, but they're really not even that domesticated, right? Like they still are just wild. They just like people.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's actually a
they
good
let
point,
us.
and, to tie it back to community sheltering, like, the point that we do with our community cat program, really kind of destigmatizing roaming cats, of course, spayed and neutered cats, but that's a huge way that we can kind of build life-saving programs because, like, 60%, I believe, Michael, right, of the animals killed in shelters are cats, so it's predominantly cats that are killed in America's shelters today due to space. And that is because a lot of them, aren't socialized. So the community cat programs that we run across the country really kind of focus on TNR, trap, neuter, return. And so those animals are able to be vaccinated as well as spayed or neutered and go back into the community from which they came because they do have colonies and they do have their community, but they don't necessarily want to be in a home or can't be in a home because they're not socialized that way. But they can, provide a lot of wonderful things for it. Like a lot of them are barn cats, or we also have a great story out of Utah where there were a lot of community cats that were adopted into a brewery and they kind of run the brewery as these great cats. And so yeah, I mean it's a good point. And I know in my neighborhood there's a large community cat program and it's really saved so many lives to be able to do that.
That's awesome. Um, I think we were talking earlier, and I know one of the biggest things that we've run into on the media is has been like animal abuse, and have with the increase of fostering and the increase of people having animals at home. Have you seen the abuse go down? Has it gone up?
That's a good question. Michael, do you know anything about
I
that?
don't actually. I think that is a good question. I mean, at least in my orbit, I don't know the answer. Definitely something we can look up. I don't. I would say that it's not. Otherwise, we would have heard about it like through our channels.
Mhm.
But I don't know that, as far as I know. So, but that may or may not be true. I'm not sure. Just to be perfectly honest.
No, no, that's fine. It's very interesting because I mean I know they had the Michael Vick story. Was it on Netflix or I think it's on Amazon Prime now? You can rent it for what, $2?
Yeah.
Like,
So, yeah, we in January of '08, we um took in 22 of Michael Vick's dogs after his compound was busted and arrested. Dogs were we were very heavily involved in the legal battle, keep the dogs alive. And then, long story short, we were able to take 22 of them to our sanctuary. We have a sanctuary in southern Utah, Kanab, Utah, and I fortunate enough to be part of our assessment team, DC and Virginia, to film them being assessed and all of that. And then we brought them out to the sanctuary. And we started to do basically a rehabilitation program. These dogs, and I personally was able to work with some of the dogs and grew to love them. One of my most favorite dogs that I've ever known in my life was one of those dogs, and her name's Meryl, and she recently passed away actually, but she was a wonderful, wonderful dog, and she was actually court ordered to the sanctuary because during one of her assessments she snapped at one of the handlers, um essentially tried to bite one of the but taken out of a stressful situation, going through another stressful situation of an assessment, being moved around. These dogs weren't highly socialized in the first place, most of them anyway. And so once we get them out to the sanctuary and give them time to kind of open up, give them time to learn how to trust humans again. Some of them didn't need time. Some of them were just like, "Hey, I'm going to be your buddy," and like that was it. They're just like cool as could be and amazing. We did have some that it couldn't be around other dogs, but vast majority of the ones that we took in, which were labeled the hardest cases, were adopted into homes. Some of them became therapy dogs. Um, we did this movie. Well, a movie was made about Vick dogs after a period of time, and the movie is called. It's a documentary called The Champion. It is on. Sorry, it's on Amazon Prime. Um, and it's not like a depressing movie. It's a very uplifting movie. It's about the perseverance of these dogs, the how big their hearts are, because through all of the stuff that they went through, um, they were still able to love humans and fit into family. It was just really amazing to see the spirit of these dogs throughout this whole journey of theirs. But it was definitely one of the things that I've been part of in my life, and it was certainly life changing. Um, Turned me into a huge pit bull advocate. Like I said, I have a pit bull now. Caitlin has a pit bull. I love the breed. I think incredible dogs. Um, I have two. Daisy is our girl, and she is the best dog for these kids. Like, amazing. Um, so I will advocate for this breed forever till I die. And but it was definitely it was really cool. Um, Definitely check that out. There's also Nat Geo did a television series about our sanctuary called Dogtown, um, which focused on the dog area, our sanctuary. There's a there was they did an hour-long special about the Vick dogs when they first came to the sanctuary and stuff. And it's out there somewhere. I think it's on YouTube, actually. Um, but yeah, it was very very cool. Very very cool to be part of that.
It's awesome. So, how many different types of animals do you actually have in these shelters? I know we're focusing a lot on dogs. We've mentioned cats, but there's other pets out there. Like, do you guys just mainly do dogs and cats?
So at the
So yeah, the
sanctuary, yeah, go ahead, Caitlin, go ahead.
Oh, you can do. The sanctuary is is in Utah. It's in kind of a remote section of Utah, close to Zion National Park, and it's the largest no-kill sanctuary in the country. Actually, it has 1,700 animals. So those are dogs and cats, as well as wild animals. We have pigs, we have horses, we have goats, we have you name it, pretty much every kind of animal. And they have a really cool wildlife rehabilitation center there too. But most of the work we do across the country, including in our life saving centers across the country in Los Angeles, New York, Atlanta, Houston, those are all focused on dogs and cats. And our main mission right now is getting to no kill with dogs and cats. But the number right now, it continues to go down every single year. But this year, it's 625,000 animals are killed in shelters every single year. So we're really working to whittle that down. Last year was 733, so we're definitely making a lot of progress. And there is a lot of work to be done still, but yeah, we primarily focus on dogs and cats in our like program work.
So, how much does it cost for like a single animal? Like, how much is it for a dog versus how much is it for a cat?
Yeah, that's a good question. So from getting from welcome all the way into adoption, we it's $100. So that is actually a huge impact. That includes spay neutering, includes vaccinations, and includes finding them a home. And so that's kind of the stat we use, and I think it's a great one just because there's a lot of work that goes into it, obviously. But for the average dog or cat, it's pretty much around $100 from welcome all the way through to adoption.
Right. So that's how much it would cost us. But like, how much does it cost like the shelters and y'all to like house the animals, feed them, take care of them? Right.
That's kind of per animal, so that includes all of that. But on average, Michael, do you know more?
I have no idea.
Well, like, okay, so like usually like when I go to the vet, it's around at least $100 for shots and everything.
Mhm,
Um, those are yearly, and then it's like $50 for like their food that lasts them a month. So you're
mhm,
talking what, $600 a year for food, at least another $100 on top of that. Plus, then you have like you gotta water them, like they're not plants, but like you gotta give them water, bathe them. Like the shelter costs money themselves, right?
mhm.
Yeah.
So you're
Right.
so per animal, you're probably what, $800 a year.
I mean, I honestly have no idea. I know. I mean, I know it's a lot because like we run a sanctuary. I mean, very large place, but shelters and rescues. I think it all just depends. It depends on how they're set up because everybody's set up differently. Some people get
Mhm,
grants. There's grants that you can apply for. We're 100% donation driven. Um, but we have built trainers, we have vets, we have a full clinic at our sanctuary in Utah. Like we have it's a full blown deal. So I don't really know. Like I don't know
yeah,
kind
and
of
I think
out
it
of my
varies a lot
purview.
too. Mhm. It varies a lot too, I guess, because the cases are also different. Like some animals are highly
Yeah.
adoptable and some pick sanctuary for life or, a few years because the sanctuary, it's a no-kill sanctuary. That means that no animal goes out, or every animal goes out. So that is really important. And, we're going to keep animals there as long as they need to find their forever homes. So it does vary. But a puppy is much more adoptable than an older dog with some behavioral issues, for example.
Any tigers?
Yeah.
We don't have any
we
tigers or big cats.
we do have some cats.
I think it's funky, not actual big
We do
cats.
have we do have goats and donkeys. A lot of potbelly people people will adopt. like a teacup pig, and then realize that oh wait, that actually doesn't exist, and then they turn into like a 300 pound, 400 pound pig, and they're like, I don't know what to do. So then pigs come and stay at the sanctuary, and they're hilarious. Like pigs are really smart, and they're a lot of fun actually. Um,
They're a lot like dogs, right?
they're very
So
much
smart.
like dogs. In fact, so we're going to be doing a video where it's like a face off between pigs and dogs and tricks and stuff. So um, find out on our YouTube.
That'd be awesome. What
Yeah,
what is
speaking of,
what is your
uh,
YouTube channel?
Best Friends videos. Been around for a long,
amazing.
long, long time. I started that channel like in '08 but we've recently revamped it and started putting out like we're doing daily content. So some of it's fun, like fun little videos. Some of it is informational, like how to train your dog how to sit or a things like that. And then also what community sheltering is, informational. But most of it's fun, and like you can see the video about the furry cats that Caitlin was talking about earlier,
Yeah,
like our working cat program and things like that.
we also have a Twitch channel. So it's Best Friends Twitch. And we have, in the last year, have done some streaming. Like we've streamed from pigs, we've streamed from horses and goats. We did a lot of puppy streams at the beginning of COVID because we all needed puppies. And it's definitely go follow us. We have some great content going out. And also, like we this past July put on a concert, a virtual concert on our Twitch and YouTube channels, and also Facebook Live too. But yeah, we had amazing artists and other kind of volunteer ambassadors come and had a whole lineup of people. Billie Eilish welcomed the team, and we had some wonderful musical artists to support us. And so we're doing kind of fun, creative things like that and trying to engage the community and do what I call building a virtual no-kill community because, we have to all be virtual right now. And there's a lot of fun ways that we can continue to engage and promote pet adoption, promote life saving, and also hang out together and have fun because animals like just make everything so much better. So yeah, we have the YouTube, the Twitch again, and then our TikTok channel is like blown up, which if you need anything to cheer you up, that is like the best content you're gonna find.
All right, right now you got to tell me what your TikTok channel is so I can go follow it right now.
It's Best Friends Animal Society on TikTok.
All right, I'm following right now.
Yeah. So those are all pretty much like we have sanctuary content there, but just some really good stuff going out. And we were actually fortunate this last week, the D'Amelio family, who I didn't know before this, but they're like the biggest on YouTube and TikTok, and their whole family is, really active there. So they really boosted our followership. So we're really having a good time on TikTok lately.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I just followed you guys. You I mean you only have 704,000 followers, only 8.1 million likes.
We're getting there.
It's
We're getting
not
there.
shabby. It's not,
Not too
no,
bad.
it's awesome. That's awesome. So like let's say
Oh,
I'm on
yeah.
the fence of like adopting an animal. What like what benefits do I get from an animal? Because okay, yeah, I have companionship, but like they seem like a lot of expenses too, right?
That's a good point. So, how I've always approached this question is I really think that it's a super personal because a lot of people will rush into an adoption for an animal, find out quickly that they're in over their head, not working out, and they don't know what to do. And I think, honestly, the best thing you can do to think about how a pet could fit into your life. Like, would it make more sense to get a cat? Are you super active? Are you not super active? Like get to know some breeds. Like you might be like, oh, I want a dog super bad, but you might not be the type of personality that would be good to get a Shiba Inu. You know what I mean? So like there's definitely ways to set yourself up for success. I would encourage anybody to get a pet. I think that they enrich lives. It's like hundredfold. I don't know what I would do without my pets, but I also think that diligence. Think think long and hard. If you don't like to go hiking, maybe not go for a Labrador. Maybe go for a smaller dog who doesn't require 5 miles a day or something. So like or it's really just that. It's just doing your homework. And really thinking about what kind of a commitment you can make.
So you're
Yeah,
telling me I
absolutely.
shouldn't get an Irish Wolfhound if I live in an apartment?
They're kind of lazy, so maybe, but probably not. I mean, it
No,
depends
I
on your
actually had
climate.
I worked with eat Thanksgiving turkey right before it was supposed to be served. So but on that note, also just to add, we work a lot on breed specific legislation. So we have a couple of advocacy staff who are lawyers who work on breed specific legislation. So we just overturned the pit bull ban in Denver, which was a huge success for us because we've been working on that for 30 years since they enacted it, and really allowing people who, there's a lot of restrictions in primarily apartments. You don't own your home. Even if you do own your home, insurance companies have restrictions on breeds. So we're really trying to make it more equitable because there's no research that has been proven that these breeds that they're targeting are any more dangerous. Actually, they're less dangerous than other breeds that aren't. So, and so that is one thing we work on. The other thing, as far as advocacy and legislation, we do is puppy mills. So a lot of people, when considering pet adoption, look into buying an animal, whether it's online on Craigslist or from a pet store. And the things and the concerns with that is really there are kind of industries that don't necessarily take care of animals in the best way. Like puppy mills, for example, are really, really a huge problem in that they're not necessarily taking care of the animals in the best way, and they're just trying to make money off of them, essentially. So, in considering buying an animal or adopting an animal from a shelter, if you're adopting an animal from a shelter, you're saving two lives because you're saving the life of the animal that you adopted, and then another life, because a lot of the killing happens in shelters because of space. And if you're considering, that is a huge issue because you save not one but two lives, and then I would argue you also save your own life because that's the power of animals.
Rescue animals are the
Yeah.
best. I swear to God, I feel like that them like a huge solid. So I think that they're like just way more appreciative.
Right? I mean, I could just imagine, right? We always joke that my dog, so she was in Paws and Kyle, down here in Texas, and she went through the cell dog program. So we always joke that like she was in prison. She was a prison dog, and
Mhm.
it's like she from the moment that we got her out and the moment that like we adopted her, it was like she was released from jail. And so we always joke that she like got out of jail and she's in a home now. And you know, a lot of these shelters, like it's the most efficient way to house animals, right?
Mhm.
And so you can't have full like room setups, which is probably more towards the initiative to have the increase in fostering, right? Because it gets the human socialization, it gets the environment socialization. So it's like the dog kind of knows what's up. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. And kind of a lot of the shelters too, they're either privately run or publicly run. And the municipal shelters, the publicly run, publicly funded shelters, like here in Austin, it's Austin Animal Center. Um, and of course, there are shelters all over the country that are publicly funded and run. Really, it is an issue with resources. So if they're not fully funded or not funded enough to have the resources to provide housing or space for every single animal that comes in, it gets more and more difficult. And essentially, like Right now, we're focusing on the top 100 shelters that kill the most animals every single year. And we have the list, we know the states, and we know actually down to the shelter level where the killing is happening. And so from that data, we kind of like have done a lot of work on getting that data together. We've actually focused on 5 states. And so one of the top states, it's California and Texas are kind of have changed in the last year. So Texas is the second largest, and California is actually the largest for as far as killing goes. And so our work in these specific shelters, we are embedding in the shelters on that level. And basically, that means putting in leadership from best friends that are actually like best friends employees and putting them into these communities and into the shelter as a kind of advisor and mentor. And so we've done this on a number of occasions, largely in Texas, and so that includes Palm Valley Animal Center, and they are in McAllen, Texas. And then there's also one in Harlingen, and we just started one in Abilene as well in Texas. There's also a few other ones in Florida, I think primarily around community cats, and they actually just started one in Hawaii too, which I wish I could be there. But I was able to go down to Palm Valley Animal Center for about 2 weeks to volunteer at that shelter. And they're the largest intake shelter in the whole country. They take in 30,000 animals every single year. And that's over like 7 counties. So it's a huge swath of land, and they just didn't have the resources to be able to provide. Um, and really, in the last year, we've been able to change that setting. There were only 35% of animals were getting out, and now we are at 90% no kill. And that benchmark, 90% no kill, is huge for them. So they've been at no kill status for a couple months now. And that kind of huge flip in being able to save thousands, tens of thousands of animals every single year is just ginormous. So we started this embed program, and kind of the goal was to reach 100,000 lives by, I think, 2021 or something like that. And we're already way past that. And so that work, I think, is really important because, you know, it's direct action and it has a huge impact.
I mean, that's just simply amazing. Um, the one of the questions from the chat was, what type of dog do I have? I have a lab pit mix. Then I have like a corgi poodle other mix. She sometimes gets confused for like a dandy Denmont. Both pound puppies. I've never actually owned a dog from a breeder in my
Yeah.
life. One of the statistics I've heard is black animals are the like hardest ones to adopt or least adopted animals. At least that's what they were feeding. The statistics they were feeding me down in our shelters here is
Mhm.
that pretty common throughout?
Yeah, pretty
It's
common.
very common.
For whatever reason, it's
Yeah.
definitely common. I mean, my dog's black. She's a black and white dog, black, but and it was one of the reasons. I mean, she's pit bull and she's black pit bull, and we were like, well, she came up to me and she was like, we're friendly, and we had a Chihuahua at the time, so we took him, um, Poppy, took him to meet her. At least
you have to have a fence, you have to, whatever the restrictions they are. So our work right now is focusing on that and kind of streamlining adoption processes so they're simple, and really more equitable. Because if you think about it, all those requirements require you to have, a higher socioeconomic background, or, to be able to purchase your home. And so there's all these like insinuations from the requirements that aren't fair, for every single person to be able to adopt. And that is the goal. If we want to reach no kill by 2025, we need more adopters. We don't need less. We don't need to be more strict. And those are wonderful families that, deserve a loving home. And so by kind of reducing the barriers to entry, we can really allow more people to adopt animals that are at risk.
That's awesome. Any final words or wisdom for potential adopters out there?
I would say take your time. Shop
Not too
around.
much time.
Not too much
You can
time.
always foster.
You can always actually. That's actually probably what we should say, right? Like foster, because it's like test driving and seeing how they work in your home too. And if it doesn't work out, yeah, keep them until they're adopted, and then you try it again. But I have foster fit twice in my career, and um never regret it. like and I like fostering, honestly, to kind of fits your personality, your lifestyle. Because even a week out the shelter can do so much for an animal, in just teaching them how to be in a home. um so yeah, definitely that is probably a better answer, Caitlin, so for sure.
Well, thank y'all so much, for doing this panel, and for letting us support y'all, and you know go ahead and drop your Discord into the chat and have everybody join there. I'm Brian Shaw, the Bearded Berserker. I have Caitlin and Mike from the Best Friends Animal Society. We'll be right back after this. Thank y'all.